This is VOA News. I'm Marissa Melton. President Trump's former UN ambassador alleges in an upcoming memoir that two top administration officials tried to enlist her in opposing some of the president's policies. AP correspondent Ben Thomas has more.
In her book, With All Due Respect, Nikki Haley describes a meeting in which then Secretary of State Rex Tillerson and then White House Chief of Staff John Kelly told her that they were trying to resist the president on certain matters in order to save the country. Haley writes she was shocked by the approach and thought Tillerson and Kelly were following a dangerous path, trying to impose their own beliefs. Asked to respond, Kelly told CBS's Sunday Morning if by resistance and stalling she means putting a staff process in place to ensure the president knew all the pros and cons and could make an informed decision, then guilty is charged. Ben Thomas, Washington.
Spaniards went to the polls on Sunday in an election aimed at bringing longed-for stability, but that looks set to leave Parliament as fractured as before. David Doyle has more.
A bitterly divided Spain returned to the voting booths for the fourth time in as many years on Sunday. The country has been struggling to form a stable government since 2015, when new parties emerged from the ashes of the financial crisis following decades in which power oscillated between the country's two main parties. But Sunday's election looks unlikely to achieve the longed-for stability. Instead, polls point to an even more fractured parliament with no clear winner. Acting Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez called this election after his Socialist Party won a ballot in April, but failed to form a government.
That's Reuters' David Doyle reporting. Iran began pouring concrete for a second nuclear reactor at its Bushehr power plant on Sunday. The plant is fueled by uranium produced in Russia and is monitored by the United Nations International Atomic Energy Agency. From Washington, D.C., you're listening to VOA News. Turkey's defense ministry says a car bomb has killed at least 8 civilians in northeast Syria today. The latest deaths come as United Nations monitors report scores of civilians are being killed and wounded in northern and northeastern Syria. Lisa Schlein reports for VOA from Geneva.
In just the last 5 days, at least 92 civilians have been killed in these two separate battles. The UN Human Rights Office reports most of the deaths have occurred in Syria's northeastern Kurdish-controlled area, which is under assault by the Turkish military. It says 49 people have been victims of airstrikes, ground-based strikes, and summary executions. These have been carried out by opposing Turkish-affiliated armed groups and Kurdish armed groups. It says another 31 civilians have been killed by roadside bombs in populated areas, most likely planted by groups opposing the Turkish military offensive. Lisa Schlein for VOA News, Geneva.
Cambodia released opposition leader Kum Sukar from house arrest today. He was arrested 2 years ago and charged with treason. Sukar's release came a day after self-exiled Cambodian opposition leader Sam Rainsy arrived in Malaysia in his attempt to return to Cambodia. Australian firefighters raced on Sunday to contain widespread bushfires that have left 3 people dead. Reuters' Emer McCarthy reports.
Burnt-out cars and homes gutted beyond recognition. Bushfires in the Australian state of New South Wales have killed 3 people since Friday, when a record number of emergency-level fires were declared in the state. At least 150 homes have been destroyed. Authorities upgraded the forecast for the Greater Sydney region to catastrophic fire danger for Tuesday. The first time the city has been rated at that level since new fire danger ratings were introduced a decade ago. Australia is suffering through one of its worst bushfire seasons, with parts of the country crippled by severe drought.
That's Reuters' Emer McCarthy reporting. And Iran's leader says a massive new oil field has been uncovered in the southwest region of the country. President Hassan Rouhani says the field has 53 billion barrels of crude oil and could boost the country's oil reserves by a third. At least 13 people were killed and many fishermen remain missing on Sunday after a cyclone hit the coasts of Bangladesh and India, packing winds of up to 120 kilometers per hour. The cyclone is weakening as it moves inland. I'm Marissa Melton. You're listening to VOA News.